Okay, so as several Democratic governors announced plans to roll back their mask mandates for schools and indoor public schools, that's blue state governors. And look at this. In New York, the governor of New York is dropping their mask mandates, and you don't have to show a vaccine passport anymore. That's all over with. But guess what? Joy Behar still says she's going to wear a mask in public indefinitely, she says. First of all, that sounds like a joke headline. The governor says everybody can take their mask off except Joy Behar. That's what I like about that. So here she is. She went on The View. She says this. You want to hear it? Here
yes.
Personally, okay. Personally, I listen to the little voice in my head that doesn't really follow 100% what they tell me because they keep changing it.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, very short time ago, they were saying put the.
So I just want to point out that when they decide to disobey and disregard what Fauci says or the CDC or the FDA, or as she puts it, because they keep changing it, they all agree and nod. Yeah, you don't have to. You can make up your own mind when you want to. But what about if Joe Rogan has a question about the affair? Then that's a misinformation. So she's literally going against the science right now, and she's going against the governors and everybody, but that's okay because Joy Behar's doing it, and it's only bad when people we think are dumb Trumpers do it, right? Even though Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders and has voted Democrat his whole life.
Yeah.
So I want you to pay attention to that. Pay attention to this.
Personally,
Okay.
personally, I listen to the little voice in my head that doesn't really follow 100% what they tell me because they keep changing it.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, very short time ago, they were saying put the N95 masks on and now they make sure it's up. And now they're saying you don't have to wear them anymore.
Yeah.
So if I go on the subway, if I go in a bus, if I go into the theater, if I go into where else would I go?
A crowded spot.
A crowded place. I would wear a mask, and I might do that indefinitely because why do I need a flu or a cold even?
Right.
And so I'm listening to myself right now. I don't think it's 100% safe. Personally,
okay.
So there she is. She used to wear a mask for you, but now she's doing it for herself. Isn't that kind of funny? She used to wear a mask for you, but now she's doing it for her own self. And I will bet anybody who wants to take this bet $1 million that we are going to see a picture of Joy Behar not wearing a mask outside within the next month. How about that?
Without a doubt.
We're going to see her at a party. By the way, she's not wearing a fucking mask right now. And there's people all over the place. As she says this, she's not wearing a mask indoors. She's saying she's going to wear a mask outdoors, but she's not even wearing one indoors right now. So, but those are the people who are, someone who's that smart is allowed to question the science, but no one else is. Are you doing your own research, Joy? Or are you just not doing, you're just like, I'm still going to be, how do you get away with that? Isn't that kind of interesting, Jackson?
It's crazy because like for years now, they've been telling people like Joy have been trying to smear Joe Rogan, cost you your job, your income, your livelihood, because you want to think with your little head, like she just said she's going to do, and not listen to the officials. And now she feels like she can do it. It's the same way with all the censorship surrounding COVID. It only ever cuts in one direction. And that's when those question the status quo and question the status quo is trying to, have a profit incentive for making money off of this stuff.
That's exactly right. So people are still, they're with Joy, right? They've cultivated what Max Blumenthal calls the lockdown left. I call it's a cult. It is a cult. There's no doubt about it. The people who want to shit their pants over COVID, it's a cult. And go get your vaccine and shut the fuck up and move on with your life, would you? If you're that afraid of COVID, go get your vaccine and move on with your life. What's wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? This is a virus that has a 0.89% hospitalization rate, and that's for everybody. That's for the obese, people with comorbidities, the elderly. 0.89% hospitalization rate, according to the Pew Foundation. And if you want to continue to shit your pants, by the way, and you're going to get it, And this idea that if I wear a mask, I won't get COVID is not supported by the facts because Fauci has told us that everybody is likely to get it. You and everyone you know is likely to get it. So this idea that I can stop myself from getting it, I think is a pipe dream. I don't know why pipe is on my mind. It's actually disgusting. Look at the people. Now, these are some of my favorite responses to on the Twitter from this. It's actually disgusting. Looking back, Looking back, that we are all just walking around inhaling strangers' saliva in the air all day, every day before 2020, and I do not personally plan to return to that state of affairs. First of all, if you're inhaling strangers' saliva all day, every day, I'm pretty sure you're doing 3 things wrong before we even get to masks.
Yeah. Why is it, though, that they are going to continue wearing masks, but they're not going to continue, like, with the lockdown, social distancing, wearing those like crazy face masks that have the plastic guard above them? Why only the masks that are the ones that go above your mouth? It seems like it's just all virtue signaling.
I think it makes people feel. I still know people who wear those red kerchiefs around their neck, so they'll always have them. They're always ready, and the science has shown that cloth masks are almost worthless.
Yeah.
You can't travel with that.
You can't get on a plane with a cloth mask. They won't let you on a plane with a kerchief. They won't let you on a plane with a kerchief. That's all I'm telling you. Here's another one. I've never understood why masks are so stigmatized here in the United States. I'm from Japan. We've been regularly masking since before the pandemic. When feeling a tickle in our throats, during flu season, on crowded trains, etc. Masking is our way of showing kindness to others. Wow, that's a great point she makes about Japan. Also, I heard in Afghanistan, they have these really big masks that cover your whole body all the way down to your ankles. Really keeps the stranger fluids out. Am I right? Yeah, I don't know why they do that in Japan. Have you ever been to Japan, Hinkle? I never have been to Japan. I haven't asked them.
No, I've never been to Japan. But the thing is, like, we've lived our entire lives without wearing masks, and we're all fine. So why isn't that we can't just go back to doing that? You know?
Oh, you mean inhaling people's saliva?
Yeah, that whole thing.
That's what you call
inhaling of saliva all day, 24 hours a day.
I thought that was just called breathing, but now it's called inhaling strangers' saliva.
Jeez.
Do you see how crazy people are over this? It's
broken people's brains, and a lot of people I really like, unfortunately, like their political takes I really like. This kind of like Trump, kind of like Russiagate. It's just another one of those things that's really broken a lot of people's brains, and that's unfortunate. But I think the bright side is it's created a political realignment in this country too, like all of the crazy authoritarian measures we've seen, and I think the right and left are uniting like never before.
I think the populist
populist circles,
the populist left and the populist right definitely are.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. And if you're a real lefty, you're going to be on the side of the workers. You're not going to be on the side of the right. Hey, you know what I was thinking would be a good thing right now, Jackson? If Joni Mitchell and what's that guy's name?
Neil Young
and Neil Young? I just be a perfect time for them to go up to Ottawa and do a benefit concert for the cops.
Yes, it would be. Yeah. And
that's a real rock and roll thing to do, isn't it? Isn't that a rock and roll thing to do?
Did you see he put his music back on Spotify?
Of course it's back on Spotify. He doesn't fucking own it, actually, because he sold it out to the Blackstone, which is raping the Amazon and oppressing the poor. That's who he sells his catalog to. But play somebody like Spotify, that's too toxic for him. Of course it's not too toxic for him because his fucking music's back up.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I really do think a lot of this is what you said earlier about the YouTube censorship. It's just people in high places who've been crossed by people like Joe Rogan, and they're just trying to get back at them.
Yes.
You know?
Here we go. Here's another one. Considering how many problems each COVIDiots, has caused by refusing to wear masks, social distance, or the most bare bones basic things necessary to actually get past COVID-19, I'm 100% with Joy Behar. You know what would be the most bare bone thing to get past COVID-19? Expanding our ICU bed capacity. That would be the first thing. They haven't added a bed in 2 years. China built a whole new hospital in like 5 days. They were building hospitals in like 5 days because they needed them. That would be one thing. Another thing would be hundreds of thousands of people, over 200 at least, would still be alive if we had Medicare for all. So maybe that, but you're still going to be angry at your neighbor, but not at the oligarchs who are still denying people health care. So we have an extra 250,000 people dead to COVID than would it have happened to have died. So again, this is someone who keep being angry at your neighbor and not at the powerful. You fucking dupe on purpose.
Yeah, I've never understood that argument. I see people like Sam Cedar or MSNBC, sorry, he says stuff like that. He says, well, what about the fact that we don't have enough hospital beds in this country? It's like, look at what China's done. They've just built new hospitals. But in this country, we have a profit incentive. In the city I grew up in that you mentioned earlier, San Clemente, we only had one hospital. It was one hospital within like 30 minutes of where I lived. And they shut it down because it wasn't making enough money. I mean, the whole thing is crazy here. And that's why we have the issues we do.
Because we let private equity firms staff our hospitals, and so they don't put the resources where the need is, like in ICU beds. They put the resources where the profit is. And so that's why that guy's not going to be angry at that. He's going to be angry at his neighbor. And by the way, you're going to get COVID. So let me just finish what he says. Considering how many problems each COVIDiot has caused by refusing to wear masks, social distance, or the most bare bones basic things necessary to actually get past COVID-19, I'm 100% with Joy Behar. At this rate, I'll wear masks unless Dr. Fauci himself tells me not to. There is only one science, and Fauci is the prophet. Peace be upon him. These people are out of their fucking minds. Out of their fucking minds. Here's another one. There's a reason Joy Behar will not wear a mask as long as COVID is contagious. She's highly educated with a master's degree in education. She doesn't listen to charlatans and GOP liars. Joy can think for herself, not like MAGAs. So when Joy goes against the guidance, it's because she's thinking for herself. But when Trump voters go against the science, is because they're not thinking for themselves. Okay, got it?
I'm curious if Joy, is she dabbling in conspiracy theories now? Does she know more than the medical experts in this country? Because I don't see any reason why she wouldn't listen to them at this moment in time when they say we don't need to wear masks anymore.
She doesn't listen to Republican QAnon maniacs or those smelly January 6 weirdos, and she certainly doesn't breathe the same air as they do, Jackson.
Yeah, she probably is more concerned about smelling poor people on the subway than having to actually get COVID. That's probably her main concern.
Matt,
she doesn't want to have to deal with that.
Here's my favorite, another one of these. Done suffering for the unvaxxed. And now, no mask, let them get sick, I'm done. So that's another one of those things. I used to wear a mask for you, but now I'm only wearing a mask for me, even though it's exactly the same thing physically. I'm doing it for a different reason in my head. Isn't that weird? Steph, you think that's weird?
I think it's...
Conservatives freaking out about Joy Behar saying she'd mask indefinitely in some places are just trying to score a political hit against someone they loathe. Savannah Guthrie said the very same thing this AM, as have others. It's okay if I had the video of her doing it, I'd make fun of her too. Someone else is just as stupid, you guys. Someone else is just as dumb. Oh, conservatives hate Joy Behar for the same reason I like Joy Behar. Conservatives hate her. That's why you like. We like it when you people let us know who you are. I like this tweet. We like it when you people let us know who you are. Watching you COVID hysterics out in public is kind of like going to the zoo. It's become that much fun to watch. Thank you. Here, do you think this started there? It didn't. They've been doing this on The View for a while. Watch this.
It's not just people on the fringe either who are speaking out like this. And over the weekend, Bill Maher made a case for people who are vaccinated, boosted, and have been following the rules since all of this started. Take a look.
I don't want to live in your paranoid world anymore, your masked paranoid world. You know, you go out, it's silly now. You know, you have to have your mask, you have to have a card, you have to have a booster. They scan your head. Like you're a cashier and I'm a bunch of bananas.
I'm not bananas.
I'm not bananas, you are.
That's not really funny to people who've lost their kids.
That's not really funny to people who've lost. So you can never make a joke about anything where anyone dies about. So you can, all the cancer jokes. You can never make a joke about cancer. You can't make AIDS jokes. You can't make heart attack jokes. You can't make any kind of jokes if kids died. You can't make jokes about planes crashing. You can't make jokes. You can't. Again, you can make jokes about everything, which just reveals that Whoopi Goldberg isn't a real comedian. And I will restate Andy Kindler. Andy Kindler, 25 years ago, put up $1 million reward for someone who could show an instance where Whoopi Goldberg said something funny. That money still unclaimed. Still unclaimed. So there she is. She's gonna go. People's kids die. That is the ultimate fucking emotional sabotage. It's such a bullshit, underhanded argument. You can say that about anything. Kids died. How could you make a joke about World War II? Kids died. How could you make a joke about car crashes? Kids have died in cars. How could you make a joke about drowning? Kids drown all the time. How could you make a joke about a hurricane? Kids died. How could you make jokes about tornado? You could go. Oh, okay, the thing. You could do this forever. So that's just her not having an argument. And being unfunny, which is what, and I'll just keep remembering what Tim Dillon said. Of all the brilliant women in the world, none of them are on The View.
Vaccine, or people who've lost family members or dear friends to this. It's just, listen, nobody on the planet really wants to go through this. This is not something we're doing because it's, sexually gratifying. This is what...
No, this is what you do because you're uninformed, you're hysterical, and you're easily propagandized. You have a television show where you're supposed to disseminate the news for people, but you don't. You just repeat propaganda, and you try to scare the shit out of people uncritically.
Doing to protect our families. And you don't have to do it, but stay away from everybody. Because if you're the one who's not paying attention, and you're coughing and sneezing, you don't want to, then...
Hey, guess what? It doesn't matter, Whoopi. You could wear an N95 mask today, and that would protect you from COVID. You could wear it all day long. An N95, it's called respirators. They work. They keep the virus out. They really work. So if you're really scared, do it. But but even though you're going to wear those masks, Whoopi, you're still likely going to get COVID because everyone you know is likely to get COVID anyway. So this idea that you're going to get it because someone else was reckless is just a fantasy that's been fed to you by Big Pharma, and now you're repeating it because your station is funded by Big Pharma. And you can't bring anyone on your show that disagrees with you or actually knows what the science is. But Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan actually gets it right. You guys get it wrong all the time, but it's the wrong that the Big Pharma likes. So there'll never be a price to pay.
Out in the public, man. This is not, nobody wants this. I don't want it. And I think he's forgetting that people are still at risk who cannot get vaccinated. People who can't get that. Little kids under the age of 5.
Don't need to be vaccinated because they have less of a risk for severe disease from COVID than they do from the flu. That's something else she doesn't know. Why would you do? By the way, Pfizer just pulled away. They pulled away their application for vaccines for kids under 5 years old. Did you know that? They're not even fucking available. Why? Because kids aren't at any risk. Their risk from COVID is so low it can't even be quantified. But here she is spewing medical misinformation that is scaremongering parents. And no one's going to say a word about it. But she's mad at someone else. And now you know why people make fun of The View. Because it's like a handful of the dumbest women in the world, and they put them on television. Here we go.
Yeah. Or people with health conditions. How dare you be so flippant, man?
There's still people they're over it, like a relationship. I'm over it. I don't feel like seeing him anymore.
To the post-mask.
You mean over it like you said to Bernie Sanders about the Iraq war? Get over it? Remember when you said that, Joy Behar, to Bernie Sanders about the Iraq war? It was a long time ago. Get over it. Get over killing 1 million people. But you're not supposed to be able to get over shitting your pants about a virus that has a 0.89% hospitalization rate.
I can't believe she'd say get over it. There was kids who died in that war.
There were kids who died. That's right. Here we go.
Part because I think there's a prudence we've learned with the mask, the hand sanitizing, that kind of like 9/11 with flying is always going to be here now. There's a new normal. In the beginning, when at post 9/11, people didn't want to fly, and the security measures felt like, how do we do this? You know, and now it's the norm. I think some of the things we've learned in this pandemic are going to stay the same. I may never ride a subway again without a mask. I may never go indoors to big crowds and ever feel comfortable without a mask.
As she's indoors right now without a mask, and there's people working cameras, and there's assistant directors and gaffers, and there's assistants, and there's 5 other people sitting right around her also, and she doesn't have a mask on. So these people want to be scared. That's all this is. You want to live your life like that? Go ahead. And what is the science on masks? Well, here's what Fauci says about this. Here's what the science is.
People should not be walking around with masks. Let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and masks are protective, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
Mark, there has not been any indication that putting a mask on and wearing a mask for a considerable period of time has any deleterious effects.
There are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask and they keep touching their face.
And can you get some schmutz sort of staying inside there?
Of course.
You do not need to wear a mask indoors if, in fact, you've been vaccinated. Good that you're vaccinated, but in a situation where you have people indoors, particularly crowded, you should wear a mask.
So even if you are vaccinated, you should wear a mask. If, in fact, you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, you are protected, and you do not need to wear a mask outdoors or indoors. When the children go out into the community, you want them to continue to wear masks.
You know, if you look at children outside, particularly when they're with the family, walking down the street, playing a game or what have you, don't have to wear a mask.
The Academy of Pediatric actually makes that recommendation that children should be wearing masks from 2 years old onward.
And you're asking now, if your child is a member of your household, can you walk outdoors with your child without a mask? According to that chart, the answer is yes.
But the child can't, not to beat it to death.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Because now the CDC says, I mean, I think I've got this right. 1 mask is better than 0 masks. 2 masks is better than 1 mask. But you don't have to have double masks. Is that right? I mean,
it became clear that cloth coverings that you didn't have to buy in a store, that you could make yourself, were adequate. And then you want it to fit better. So one of the ways you could do it, if you would like to, is put a cloth mask over, which actually here and here and here, where you could get leakage in, is much better contained.
Are you a double masker, Dr. Fauci? It looked like you are.
Okay, so that's the science on masks. I hope I don't lose my YouTube channel. And did you ever see this video, Jackson? This is what Dr. Fauci used to say. This was what he used to say a year before the COVID pandemic. He used to sound like Joe Rogan. You think I'm kidding? So guy asked him, should I wear a mask if I don't want to get influenza or some kind of virus? And watch what he says. He says, no, that's crazy to do that. Don't worry about that. Watch this.
And the best way for me to prevent getting an infectious disease and having to have you as my doctor is what? Wearing a mask.
No.
You do that. If somebody's, I can see they're ready to sneeze or cough, walk away.
You avoid all the paranoid aspects and do some.
You avoid all that. That's being paranoid.
No way. I haven't seen this before.
That's being So here, I'll play it from the start, and I'll play it all the way through. Here we go.
And the best way for me to prevent getting an infectious disease and having to have you as my doctor is what? Wearing a mask.
No.
You do that. If somebody's, I can see they're ready to sneeze or cough, walk away.
You avoid all the paranoid aspects and do something positive. A, good diet. B, you don't smoke, I know. I know you don't drink, at least not very much, so that's pretty good. Get some exercise. I know that you don't get as much exercise as you should.
That's correct.
Get good sleep. I think the normal, low-tech, healthy things are the best thing that you can do, David, is stay healthy.
All right. And the best way for me to
I cannot believe that. I've never seen that clip before. You would have made a great guest on Joe Rogan's show a couple years ago.
Yeah, Fauci. There it is.
That's wild.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Fauci used to say before COVID. Now, let's remember COVID has a 0.89% hospitalization rate. And if you're vaccinated, your hospitalization rate is 0.02%. And this is what everybody wants to keep shitting their pants over. Get vaccinated, get your vitamin D3, get your zinc, figure out where you can get your monoclonals. You can also take fluvoxamine now. They've suppressed early treatments. You know what those are. Do your own research on those.
Yeah, it's really crazy how they've treated like the things that he said throughout the pandemic, because it's not that they just encourage masks and vaccines over those things or in addition to those things. They villainize anyone who says stuff like that. You know, they say that you're anti-science and you don't know what you're talking about. That's incredible. I can't believe that clip has not gone completely viral. Maybe it has. Has it?
No. I found it on Twitter.
Wow.
But there it is. He sounds just like Joe Rogan. And then Joe Rogan got COVID. He got better in 2 days. And everybody drove him nuts because he wasn't vaccinated. And Joe Rogan actually proved his point correct. And that drove them. They were like, we got to take him down. Find that video where he says the N-word and edit it out of context. Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Philadelphia on February 20th. We just added a second show. And February 26th, back here in Los Angeles, go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all our live shows.